our 48th annual Christmas Festival of Services.
Elizabeth Omalami is the CEO of Hosea Helps. She is also the daughter of the late civil rights leader Hosea Williams. Hosea Helps stemmed from a nonprofit foundation which started in the early 70s. Hosea Feed the Hungry and Homeless.
A lot of people think it's a dinner, but it's much more than that. It was founded by Hosea Williams, my father, in 1970, and he was the national field organizer for Martin Luther King. And when Martin Luther King was killed in 1968, the staff was just scattered. Everybody was just trying to figure out who the next leader would be, was the next leader there amongst them or whatever. And my father was taking a walk at lunchtime, thinking about all these matters, came across a man eating out of a garbage can. And he asked the man, what are you doing digging through a garbage can? He was, and the man said, I'm hungry. He said, well, I'll buy you a sandwich. So took him in the Yasim's Fish, which is still there today on Auburn Avenue, and bought him a sandwich. And the man ate through the wax paper and the paper to get to the sandwich.
That encounter was the beginning of the Hosea Feed the Hungry and Homeless Foundation. The nonprofit fed thousands annually, and Williams' legacy of feeding the homeless continues today, but now with his daughter at the helm.
My father, Hosea Williams, kind of had an epiphany at that moment and thought about hunger specifically in what was supposed to be one of the most prosperous cities for African Americans in the country. He started feeding predominantly men at that time. That Sunday, 100 men. He was a man of action. So he walked right across the street and to Reverend William Holmes Borders Church, and they started feeding men that Sunday. And so today was, after all these years, we are still feeding men, but however the face of homelessness has changed.
Hosea Williams marched beside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. until his death. Andrew Young, John Lewis, Ralph David Abernathy, and Reverend Jesse Jackson were with Dr. King when he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. Now Williams' daughter is carrying the banner to end hunger and homelessness.
It's a miracle. It really is. The reason I think it's so special for me is because you don't get any problem with a Muslim serving next to a Buddhist, serving next to a Hindu, serving next to a Christian. All these religions come together around the issue of hunger and the fact that hungry children cannot learn. Another thing you will have is a billionaire like Arthur Blank sitting at the table serving a homeless person. And you don't get that very often either because of, the classism that exists in our society. But it uplifts the hungry person or the needy person to say, wow, this person is good enough and important enough for, this person to be here at the table with me. And then it helps the rich person or the well-to-do person, usually a volunteer, to give back, to say that I'm actually here doing something that's making a difference.
More than 8,000 people were served Christmas dinner with all the trimmings during the 48th annual Christmas Festival of Services. The event was held at the Georgia World Congress Center in downtown Atlanta. Nearly 4,000 meals were boxed up for home delivery.
Thanks to the DeKalb County Jail, it's the largest industrial kitchen in the Southeast. So we use it at every large event that we have.
She says more than 500 volunteers helped to prepare the food at the jail, while nearly 1,500 volunteers served food and helped at various service stations.
Well, thanks to Morehouse School of Medicine, here at Hosea Helps, on Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day, Martin Luther King's birthday, and Easter Sunday, we have a free medical clinic. So the doctors and the nurses come and they do screenings for blood pressure, diabetes, HIV. They do wound care, a lot of foot washing, because people, they're sleeping in a shelter or on the street. You don't change your shoes and socks that often. We have clothing center, kids corner for children.
Children had that choice of bike sizes, even if they were just learning how to ride. Not only were there clothing and toy giveaways, there were also job fairs and affordable housing information.
I think that today, if my father was alive and he passed in 2000, it would be bittersweet, because I think that the support that we get, which is never enough, we barely break even with these large events, as well as our yearly budget, because Hosea, Feed the Hungry, Hosea Helps, is open every day, providing homeless prevention and other kinds of services. He would be very happy that people are still supporting his vision. But to know the numbers have increased as significantly as they have here in our city, I think would sadden him to a large degree, because he used to always say that, especially here in the city, the birth of the civil rights movement, where there's been an all-black city council for many, many years, black mayors year after year after year, including the most recent election, we should have attacked and done a better job with alleviating poverty and homelessness in our city.
She says what usually happens at the Festival of Services, which occurs 4 times a year, people are transformed with a new hope by the time they leave the events. But listen as her heartbroken father talk about Dr. King's assassination.
Just leaving for dinner, and he usually walk out a door. He's usually dressed and he usually go, because he's usually always in a hurry. But he walked out there and held over, and the fellow who's been driving us around since in Memphis told him, "Doc, you better get your coat." He said, "Okay," and he stood up there a minute or two, and I guess just thing of destiny, I guess, making, he just was a target there for a minute or two, because he was fixing to come back in and get his coat on. All of this side of his face was shot off. But it wasn't long before policemen was all around. Then I wonder whether America had really lost its last chance. This day will be the most unforgettable day in my whole life. It's a day that I still have not believed. I still not can believe somebody's crazy enough to kill Dr. King, who wouldn't hurt anybody, but loved everybody, and really gave his life to the salvation of this nation.
In Atlanta, Elaine Rackley for Breaking Through News.